In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Oh, surviving together, victorious, and never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey, everyone. I thought I adjusted this camera. I guess I adjusted a little bit more. Hang on. Okay. How you guys doing tonight? You've landed at Surviving Together if you hadn't guessed. Thanks for coming on tonight. This is a safe space for all trauma survivors to connect and join together on their healing journeys, as well as providing trauma-related education for all. Blah, 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 blah. This is what you get when it's not a Saturday, when I've already had a full work day put in. Let's greet the chat here, shall we? We have Mandy is in the house tonight. Thank you for dropping by. And Krumel, as always, thank you for being here and wrenching for us. Body Illusion is here. We very much appreciate Rudy with a Ireta. I can't say your last name, so it's Rudy. Rudy it is. And let's see who else. I saw Lacey stopped in, and Chris is here, as well as Todd. Todd, I owe you a message. I have gotten them. I just have not gotten a chance to get back to you. Are you having hot flashes, Todd? That's usually not for guys, but who knows? Indigo Twin is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, that's it for right now. So I will be putting up the trigger warning a little bit later because of the subject matter that we'll be talking about. But first, I just have a couple of announcements to go over. One, it is the last week of doing our clothesline project in terms of submissions. So if you want to submit a t-shirt for the clothesline project, I need you to get that to me by Saturday. We've got a handful of submissions so far. You can do a t-shirt, actual physical t-shirt, take a picture of it, send it to me, survivingtogether@gmail.com, and I'll put that up there for you real quick. Or you can do it online as a graphic. I did one on Canva. It's super simple. They've actually got a t-shirt template. All you have to do is pop a t-shirt in, put some text on it, or a graphic, or whatever you want to do. It's fairly simple to use. I don't use editing software, things like that very easily, and I have actually found Canva to be pretty user-friendly. So if you want to do that, all you have to do is download the file then and send it over to me. Put clothesline project in the subject line and shoot it to me, and then I will be getting those all over to Crystal Phoenix, and she'll be compiling them, and we'll be putting those together for presentation, our premiere on April 19th, National Hangout Day, Hang Out Your Laundry Day. So we'll do our virtual art installation, and I can't wait. It should be really fun. Crystal's World is here. How you doing, Crystal? I appreciate you stopping in. And Jimena, beautiful, beautiful Mena. Jimena, I promised, hang on. And I actually took that page down for a second. Hang on. I got to figure something out, guys. While I'm figuring that out, I will also let you know tomorrow morning we have a very special live. While I'm figuring, put that down. We will be There we go. Okay. Jimena, you should have your wrench now. I've been meaning to get that to you, but I had not. So, Rudy, we're not going to be talking about numbers today. So I know that that's really your thing, but we're going to be discussing SAAM, Sexual Assault Awareness Month today. But first, our special live tomorrow will be starting at 8:30 a.m. It is the Women Changing the World Global Awards ceremony. So the winners are going to be announced. As you guys know, I'm a finalist in the journalism and media category. I do not know when that category is going to fall. I don't know if they're going in alphabetical order or what the deal is. Only the winners are going to be giving a 1-minute speech. So hopefully it will move fairly quickly. I will be on a Zoom call. But Jimena will be here backstage kind of monitoring the chat and monitoring the channel, making sure everything's going smoothly. The awards ceremony will be streaming live from London here on the channel. So you guys will be able to watch the awards ceremony as it unfolds. And if I have any ideas to when my category is actually going to pop in, be on, I will definitely let you guys know that, as well as popping over from the Zoom call that I will be on with some of the other finalists who did not make the trip to London. And so I'll be back and forth. So that, it is going to be a very big day. So we'll see what happens. My boss actually wants me to make sure that I tell him what happens, even if I don't place, which if I do, it's going to be by some miracle. This little channel, I think we have 409 subs last time I looked, and the other people in my category are, world-renowned authors, people who are seriously changing the world, have Academy Awards for podcasting. There's some pretty amazing women in the category. I am just humbled and honored and just absolutely amazed that I was chosen as a finalist for the category. So I'm happy, I'm absolutely happy just the way that things are. But that will be kicking off here at 8:30 Eastern time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. It goes for 2 hours. So we'll present the whole live stream for them. So approximately, you know how award shows go, they're generally never always on time. So we'll see. We had some other people joining us. Creating Change, Guy from Creating Change dropped in. If you guys did not see my interview with him the other week, it just absolutely fabulous. And I did have a short to put out with, I don't think did I put it out? It's been a week so far already. Of the song that he did at the very end, which was just absolutely beautiful. It was a song, basically an ode to the poem Footprints, which I do absolutely love. And Hockey Tom John is here. How are you doing? How are you doing? I mean, seriously, how are you doing? How are you feeling? I hope everything is going well with you. I have not heard. Oh, thank you, Indigo. I really appreciate that. If I change one person, I would say change. If I impact one person with this channel, I feel like that I've done my job. But I'm going to keep going. I want to reach as many people as possible so that they know that there are others out there, that there's hope, that there is information out here that we need. I'm going to be talking about part of that today, actually, as well. Thanks, John. I really appreciate that. It really means a lot. You guys have been absolutely incredibly supportive, and this community, this channel would not be what it is without you guys. You make the SaaS community what it is, and so I cannot take all the credit for the success of this channel. Just fabulous. Hey, Tommy Stiggs, how you doing this evening? I hope all is well with you out on the East Coast. If the weather is headed your way, I don't know if you guys get rain or not. We have had thunderstorms all day today. Last little announcement is the Saturday is the first Saturday of the month, so it's the last Saturday. It should be a show with mac and cheese. We'll see. David has a visitor in town, so maybe we'll have a special guest on with us as well. I don't know. He may not be able to make it for the entire show. We'll just have to see. At this point, we're planning on it, planning on him for the show. We'll see what happens, but we should have a good time on Saturday. All about laughs, nothing serious, and just kind of releasing all the tension from the week. So be a good time. So those are my announcements for today. So if you didn't catch it, I did put out a short kind of just kicking off Sexual Assault Awareness Month yesterday. So the month of April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And today I just kind of want to talk about what it is. Why do we have it? Why do we recognize it? And get some feedback from you guys, kind of tell you what I'm planning for the month and see what you think. So in April of 2001, so it's 24th anniversary this month, the National Sexual Violence Resource Center is the one who officially established April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. However, its roots go deep. While although the center, that organization, was the one that actually started, an official recognition of for the month of April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, you really trace back to, say the 40s and the 50s when the equality movement was just in its infancy, to all the women and men who were fighting for equal rights. And that meant equal rights everywhere, that women should not be chained to the kitchen, that we shouldn't be looked at as just objects. And I say women because there really wasn't a recognition of men as victims at that point in time. Fast forward a little bit, the movement in the 60s really started picking up, not only with violence against women, but the sexual violence against women, with women of color and the equal rights movement. And then in the 70s, with gender equality and the women's movement, it really got going. So in 1971, the first rape crisis center was established in San Francisco. And then in 1978, in San Francisco as well, an organization there started the first Take Back the Night March, which, if you don't know, is about breaking the silence of sexual violence. It was really put in place for women to be able to take back their power and say, listen, we can dress how we want, we can walk where we want, and we should be free from harassment, free from violence. There is absolutely no reason that because I am the way I am, whether it is my gender or my clothing or the way that I'm walking, that I should be subjected to anything. So that's kind of a little bit of the history of the month. And why do we do this? Why recognize this month? Well, it's because sexual violence has been such a pervasive problem, not only in the United States, North America, but throughout the globe. And in certain places, it's worse than others, admittedly. But in the time that I've already been talking, 14 people have been sexually assaulted. Let that sink in. 14 people. 9 of them statistically would have been women. So 9 out of 10 sexual assault survivors are women. The numbers really are staggering. So in the US, it's about every 68 seconds, a person is submitted to a sexual assault. But when we talk about sexual violence, we're talking about more than just a sexual assault, what most people would think of as, say, just a rape. And I want to read you, because I want to make sure that I get everything. So sexual violence is basically the parent umbrella, and everything that fits under that is going to be sexual assault, rape, sexual harassment, sexual abuse. Generally what we think of is childhood sexual abuse, but this also can be, sexual abuse within a marriage. or within a relationship. Unwanted sexual contact or touching, sexual exploitation, trafficking, somebody basically are flashers, exposing the genitals to somebody else without their consent. Also, this is going to include things like revenge porn, non-consensual image sharing or coercing somebody to share naked pictures of themselves online. And this also includes what I talked about with this deep fake porn, or just pictures using artificial intelligence that are generated with artificial intelligence. So it doesn't have to be pornography, but it can be still images as well, still pictures. And anything that are words or actions of a sexual nature that are against a person's will and without their consent. So sexual violence covers all of this. And we've touched on a lot of these areas because really my first year, I wanted to get just as much information out there as possible about the big topics. And we're going to start delving into these more specifically. And I do have some things that I want to talk about this month, honoring the fact that it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. But let's talk just a little bit more about the problem itself first. The numbers for women of color are staggering. We talk about, on average, one in 4 women will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime, or 1 in 8, depending on which stats that you're using. But this is based off a 2002 survey that was done, that 1 in 4 non-Hispanic Black women will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. 1 in 4. And 1 in 3 Hispanic women will have unwanted sexual contact. Now, when we turn to American Indians or Alaska Native, the Inuit, this is still a subject that I want to cover. And I know this is a problem in other areas too with Native persons, but at least in North America, we're looking at 4 in 5 Alaska Native or American Indian women will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. That is just an ungodly number. And it absolutely breaks my heart. We're also looking at nearly a third of people with a third of adults with intellectual disabilities will experience sexual violence in their lifetime. Those are some pretty heavy numbers. And thank you guys for throwing up trigger warning. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen there. I should have done that sooner. Haman, I think we're good for right now. I will definitely let you know. I'll definitely let you know if we need it. Yeah, Janet, and those are part of the people I was thinking about, the Indigenous women in Canada, and because that was, I shouldn't have said North American. I suppose I should have said United States, because they were using Alaskan Natives and American Indians, so they were probably limiting it to the United States. But I don't doubt if you were to include the Indigenous Canadians that the number is going to drop very much. I don't understand why. I seriously do not understand why the Indigenous population suffers so greatly. I don't know, and I'd be interested to know whether, say, the Aborigines in Australia, do they suffer from similar rates? Or or not. I know that there's deep discrimination against them, but I don't know if they suffer the same rates of uh, of sexual violence. Oh gosh. Janet said there's a Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Commission in Canada, and they've recently found Indigenous women in landfills near Winnipeg. That's just heartbreaking, just heartbreaking. Mandy, if you can copy that message and throw it up a little bit later in the chat as well, I would appreciate that. Mandy says to let her know if anyone needs free resources. There is a charity group that she does free group support for survivors. I also have included in every video that I do, there is the resources in the description. And several of those have either 24/7 hotlines. One of them has one-on-one counseling available, as well as group counseling. I've thrown up several resources that are for men specifically. So they're men's groups, men's support groups. So you can look at that as well. I want to go back in the chat real quick. Indigo, I will answer your question in a moment when I get to talking about my things, because I have a question for you guys as well. Absolutely. Indigo says the sexual assault can happen in long-term relationships as can coercion and unwanted attention. 100%. As we say, no one is immune from this. Just because you're in a committed relationship, just because you're married, it does not matter. You can take every single precaution you think that you can possibly take, and you still could be the victim of sexual violence. It knows no boundaries. It knows no limits. There's somebody out there for, if the perpetrator is going to, they're going to target. So that is why we all have to take action. Why we all need to be educated about what sexual violence is, what consent is. These are some of the main goals of the Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Is one, just to raise awareness. What is sexual violence? How prevalent is the problem? The things that I just went over. Secondly, is going to be about educating the public about all of this, as well as getting prevention strategies out there. And this isn't just prevention strategies for the more vulnerable population, it's for everybody. And it's one of the topics that I want to raise this month, is talking about bystander intervention. How do you, as somebody who is witnessing something, step in? When do you step in? What do you say? What don't you say? So this is a topic we haven't really touched on. And I figured that with Laugh Saturday, I've got like about 5 lives that I need to cover for this month. And bystander intervention, I definitely want to be one of them. Indigo had asked whether I was going to have guests on this month, or whether I had them all pre-planned. I have topics picked out. They could change. I'm always up for changing things. If anybody is interested in being a guest this month, please just shoot me an email. Let's talk. Let's find out what you want to talk about, what you have to bring forward, and let's see if we can work it in. If I have enough and I feel that we can do another live out of this, whether it's this month or the beginning of next month, I will be more than happy to do that, even if it's on a different day. So And the third major thing in regards to why we have Sexual Assault Awareness Month is to provide support for the survivors, letting people know you're not alone. There is help out there. You can heal, right? So those resources that I was talking about that are there, there's a lot of great websites that have information that you can look at as well, and that provides information for you. And it's not only about providing support directly to the survivors, but providing information, that education piece to others on how do we support survivors. And we did a live on this not too long ago, but it's critical because you never know in your lifetime, with so many people at risk of experiencing some form of sexual violence in their lifetime, how do you support them? What do you say? What don't you say? So all of that is extremely important. And so that's really the third prong of what establishing this month was aimed at. So let me just give you guys my ideas first and see what you think. And because I tried to pick things that we hadn't covered in depth before. We've done a lot on prevention. We've done a lot on grooming and supportive, how to support a survivor. One of the things we haven't really talked about, though, is sexual harassment. And I want to just talk about this not only in the workplace, but also in schools. And that's, anywhere from primary to secondary education to university. Because unwanted words or actions, aren't limited by age. And it's often the start of the grooming process, right? And people need to know, how do we recognize this? If you overhear a teacher speaking to a student in a very inappropriate way, what should you do? Is there something that you should do? Do you just brush it off? I think these are really important things that we discuss, because I don't know about you, but I've certainly experienced sexual harassment in jobs before. Very common when I was younger, whether I was working in, retail and it was somebody I worked with, or it was a customer, um, less as I have gotten into the profession that I'm in now in the legal field, but it still does occur. So we definitely need to be aware of what sexual harassment is. How do you deal with it, whether you're the target or whether you're somebody who's witnessing it? So that's one of the topics that I want to talk about. I also want to talk about sex trafficking. This is something that we haven't spoken about, and this definitely could be broken up, speaking about the US particularly, North America, and then also globally, because this is a global problem. It's not limited to any one corner, right? It happens absolutely everywhere. And it's not, when we think about it, a lot of times we think about these big sex rings where, people are being sold overseas or they're being shipped off, somewhere. It can happen within the cities. Middle America, somebody from middle upper class, they get looped into these as well. I brought you a story, gosh, quite a number of months ago, but about some brothers who were procuring people for parties that they threw. They were these multimillionaires, and they coerced these women into coming with them and used them as basically their sex slaves for the evening, pumped them full of drugs, and then, tossed them when the weekend party was over. So sex trafficking takes a lot of different forms. So that's another another topic that I was thinking about covering. Prevention, we've talked about prevention policies, prevention, tips, things of that nature. But the 19th, because we're going to be doing the debut of the clothesline project, so that's going to be taking up some time. I thought what we might do with some of the other time that I have there is either demonstrating or discussing, walking through some self-defense techniques. There's 2 or 3 of them that are just might help you get out of a tight spot, as well as just learning sensitive areas of the body. Where should, if you have to strike, where should you try and strike? How should you try and strike? Pinching is also very effective if what areas of the body to go for. So if you are stuck in an enclosed area, if somebody does try to grab you, you might have some tools under your belt to be able to get yourself out of the situation. My Taekwondo instructor always said that the best defense was not being there. And we talked about this in terms of sexual violence. Don't try and be a hero. If you can run, right? Hey, Jen Marie, how are you doing tonight? I was just thinking about you and was going to shoot you a message. Mustang Mike is in the house as well. I hope your Wednesday is going well. Indigo says, if I do a video on sexual harassment, I know people in the community work in HR that might give you a unique view on the other side of the coin. Indigo, I'm very interested in speaking with them. Please encourage them to reach out and email me. It is the best way to get a hold of me. And if they would like to speak about it, not necessarily coming on and speaking about it, although I would welcome that as well. But if they would just like to speak with me privately behind the scenes to give me their input, I 100% would love to hear what they have to say. Self-defense, let's see. I talked about bystander intervention, definitely a topic that I want to talk about. I think, it's something that, as my son was growing up and starting to go to parties and gatherings, I spoke with him a lot about, watching out for not only your friends, but just for the other people at the party. And if you see somebody, who looks really drunk and is being hauled off by somebody, or, kind of being accosted, it may be a situation where you need to step in and at least see if everything's okay. So we're definitely going to speak about that. Absolutely, Janet. I was thinking about you too, and this is one of those times I was so wishing you were closer, because I was thinking about you and I being able to do a video together, and walking through some of these self-defense moves. And it was absolutely a huge part of my training as well. We did forms as well as sparring, as well as self-defense. There were ones that we had to go through and that we had to learn for every belt testing that we did, and we continued to build upon them. And some of those basic ones really, I think, are some of the best. And definitely we'll have a conversation, because I want to kind of see what you remember as well. Because I bet there were things that you learned with your instructor that I probably didn't learn, or that I don't remember, since it's been a little bit since I've been in a dojo. So my last topic, and this is one that I would definitely need some input on, but I think when I was looking at the numbers, it smacked me. And I thought, okay, this is a topic we haven't really addressed, but sexual assault and people who have either intellectual or physical disabilities. They're extremely vulnerable. And looking at that situation, looking at what the numbers are, how do we help? how do you as a person who might be in that vulnerable population, how do you help yourself? Something that I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about. So if anybody out there does or knows somebody who does who would like to speak with me about that, I welcome a conversation with them. Again, regardless of whether or not they want to be on panel or not. So those are kind of my ideas. There's also sexual assault in the military, which is kind of a sixth one that's hanging out there for me. Something I do want to address. I am not sure. We'll see if one of these topics kind of falls through for me. Um, I might want to take sex trafficking off the table so that I can break that up into North America or US specifically, and then do another show and talk about it globally. Because there is a huge sex trafficking problem within the United States. And there's many organizations who are fighting against this. And something that we need to look at and we need to realize and understand how and why it happens. Then, of course, there's the global problem, whether it is within another country or whether it is sending people across country borders, which is a huge problem. So there is so much. I mean, honestly, I could probably do a 6-part series on sex trafficking because of all the different countries that have specific problems or tourism that is basically built around sexual assault, whether it's of adults or of children. Lots to talk about with that. If you guys have any other ideas that you think fits into Sexual Assault Awareness Month that you would like to cover, that you think would be an interesting topic, that is something that is near and dear to your heart, please let me know. Either shoot me an email, drop it in the comments. I want as much input from you guys as possible. Mandy says, I know a lot about trafficking here. Contact me, please. If you'd like to have a conversation, I would absolutely love to speak with you. I am extremely sorry that you know a lot about it. I'm assuming you're because you're speaking from personal experience. Maybe that's a wrong assumption, but my heart goes out to you. See, and this is something we did not have, Janet. And it for no other reason that we just never had anybody come through our doors. We were speaking about this and I was absolutely amazed. And I'm sure that there are some videos out there. Jenna is talking about people training in Taekwondo that are in wheelchairs. And, I actually did meet one. I want to say it was in Tuber Chat's channel. And the martial arts was secondary to what the channel was about, but it was a big part. But he was in a wheelchair. So that might be somebody I will reach out to as well and see what I can find just from his channel too. I love martial arts, and it really does know no bounds. People with various physical ailments, conditions, whatever your situation is, mobility wise, if you have a good master, they're going to be able to modify things to suit your needs. It just wasn't something that we had an opportunity to have. And this is something that we will talk about more when we do that particular live. Andy says, I don't think self-defense works really well. Not bad to know some things, but it almost never works in an active assault. The reason I will tell you that it doesn't work, or people think it's not going to work, is because you have to practice, 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 practice. It's not enough just to go, oh, okay, thanks for showing that to me. It has to be muscle memory. When somebody grabs your wrist, you need to know which way to turn and how to pull to give yourself the best option of getting out of that hold. you've got to practice it. And that's why if you haven't taken a self-defense class, whether you're male or female, I definitely encourage you to do so. They're just really good things to learn, but just taking one class isn't going to do it. Because when we get into that fight, flight, or freeze mode, that animal part of our brain, if we have muscle memory, that is going to activate. That's going to come back. When you don't have any way of defending yourself on any level, I say deeper. What I mean by that is any more base level than something you're deciding with your prefrontal cortex. Yeah, you're just it's not going to come to you. It has to be second nature. You know, I've been doing this long enough. I think Janet probably can attest to the fact of doing it long enough. Yeah, Janice is right here. Her daughter, she has two daughters who are in it actually, but I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of turn. I should not have done that. Simply because she spent enough time doing it, it's a reflex. Exactly. You have to keep at it. And that's why, even though it's been a while since I've done it, I did it for so many years. It's really ingrained in me. If somebody does grab me, it is one of my first instincts. You know, if somebody grabs me in a bear hug, my first instinct is to drop to the floor. It's because I spent so many hours practicing it. So definitely you need to practice. And Mandy, no, there are things that unless you are practicing consistently in either martial arts or specific self-defense moves, it's not going to work for every situation. And that's not what that's not what I'm trying to say. Absolutely. And there could be a situation where you're going to get into, like, somebody just whacks you over the back of the head. You don't know that they're there. If you have enough wits about you, run. If you can. If they knock you out completely, yeah, there's not much you're going to be able to do. Yeah, I 100% agree. Oh, wrong one. Mandy says, my friend was a trainer, got hit on the back of the head and went down immediately. Absolutely. You know, it's similar. I was in a match and I did a roundhouse kick and I hit a girl right here and she went down. I mean, she was out cold. And I didn't even hit her that hard, kick her that hard. So there's situations where it's not going to be helpful. But for me, I'd rather at least have a little bit of knowledge in that regard to where I could possibly get out of a situation. Again, we're going to go over soft points of the body because those are ways that you can possibly defend yourself as well. And just by talking about these things, I do not mean that they're going to work in every situation, or if you know these 5 things, it's going to get you out of something. Being aware of your surroundings is definitely huge. And we'll speak about some of those more basic prevention tips, such as, you know, parking under a light if you're late at night, or, you know, having somebody walk you to your car if you're in a parking lot and it's fairly deserted, you know, those types of things. Those are some things that I want to bring up as well. Well, we've spoken about them in some other lives. But I haven't really delved into the self-defense at all. So definitely a subject. So again, if there are any other subjects that you guys want to talk about, let me know. If the subjects that I've mentioned strike a chord with you and it's something that you want to have a conversation about, whether you want to come on to the show or not, I'd be happy to talk with you. So briefly, I just want to mention too about Sexual Assault Awareness Month. What the center in starting this really wanted to do was being able to reach out to the communities and start dialogues about things such as healthy relationships, about consent. What is it? When do you ask for it? Getting prevention efforts out there. So all of this information, all of this education is extremely important because one of the commenters said something, and it's so true. You can't prevent a problem if the public is not going to acknowledge it, or if people don't know about it and people don't know what to do. I think that when we talk about bystander intervention, we're going to discover that people are much more likely to step in nowadays. Now, people can overstep as well, so there is a fine line. So I think it's critical to know what to say, what types of situations do you jump in and try to speak up. And it doesn't always have to be in a public situation where you're seeing a woman harassed on the subway or something. These can be interactions that happen in private homes. And, you know, you see your uncle acting inappropriate or talking inappropriately to your cousin. You, as a witness, a bystander, is just a witness, somebody who's not directly involved in that interaction. Should you go up and say something? Do you say something to the uncle? Do you say something to the cousin? What do you say then? What's appropriate? So definitely going to speak about all of that as well. Yeah, when you guys talk about tools to help you with self-defense, you have to know the laws in your state or in your country where you are from, because they do vary greatly. You don't want to know that just, hey, knives are okay. Knives are okay to carry here, but they have to be 3 inches or less. So you really need to know specifics as to, I know that there are some places, the state laws, pepper spray is okay, but only if it's a capsaicin concentration of less than a certain amount. Because they're made to be deterrents, not to harm, if that makes sense. There's this idea of enough force to meet the force that is coming at you, but not being too much to where they consider you to be the aggressor. So you really need to know those laws that are within your states and within your countries. See, Mandy says for her, the knives, it's 4 inches or less. So that can make all the difference in the world. If you get into a situation and the police look at it, they may let you off with self-defense, but you also then could be charged for carrying an illegal weapon. Just depends on the policeman, right? Who's assessing the situation. Yeah, concerts, sports arenas, they've really cracked down on having anything on your person, and definitely you need to be aware of your surroundings. Go with people, stay with your group, always have somebody with you. Buddy system is great. All those kind of things that we, have heard all our life. Well, I think most of us have heard all our lives. Yep, travel in groups when possible, 100%. Kamal says he always intervenes, sometimes to his own detriment, and that's one of the reasons that a lot of people don't. They're afraid of getting hurt themselves. But they look at the situation and say, "Really, what can I do?" I'm 5'6", but I don't have a lot of muscle strength right now. So some of the things that you can do, that's what we're going to talk about and assess those situations. I think extremely important. I'm really looking forward to that discussion. It's not going to be for a few weeks because there's a lot of information to cover with it, and we'll decide on whether I feel like we need to break it down into a couple of different lives or not. Um, hang on a second. I'm going to go back in the chat just a little bit. Oh, now that's interesting. Crystal says she's heard from some cops say that it's better to carry hairspray over pepper spray, simply because of this issue of what we're talking about. That depending on the concentration of your pepper spray, you could be seen as the aggressor in the situation. But I can imagine hairspray would hurt just as much. Because they do have those, travel size aerosol cans. That would probably be pretty good. Janet, I wanted to ask about the doggy too and how he's doing. Hi, Doran. How you doing? The source sneaked in when I didn't know. Yeah, Indigo, we can't anticipate exactly how we're going to react in a situation. I know a lot of us feel like we hope we would fight instead of freeze, but it really does come down to whatever self-defense moves you've been doing, how reflexive are they? To the point where the brain's not even thinking about it. You're grabbed, you do this. And and we're talking, it really does need to be ingrained. So some movements may not have applicability in certain situations, but there may be a point along the way that once you've gotten over your initial fright or your initial freeze, maybe you will recognize a point where you can fight. Not always, because that animal part of your brain may freeze for the entire thing and may not allow you to do anything else. It's totally taken over and your prefrontal cortex has been shut down and you don't have the ability to think. It's all going to depend on your individual situation, 100%. Yeah, this is something that we haven't spoken a whole heck of a lot about, teacher-student relationships. And when I talk about sexual harassment, this is something that we'll get into a little bit, but certainly can be a whole live in and of itself. Um, can you guys tell I am not running out of topics for this year? Mike says, when I was in 8th grade, a classmate of mine was dating a 20-year-old. You really then got to go, what do they see in a 13-year-old? It's, I can tell you as a 13-year-old girl, to have a 20-year-old interested in me, I was flattered until I learned more, until I understood more about how wrong that really was. And this is why it's so important that we talk to our children. and we educate them. Because as you're going through those early teen years, your hormones are all messed up. You're experiencing these feelings for the first time. And if you don't know where boundaries should be, you're not going to set them, right? I had no idea. I knew that men liked sex, and I knew that I could use that to my advantage, whether it was acting sexual or acting upon that. And that was because of my past. So I had no frame of reference to have any sort of boundaries put in place for myself at that age. And in this day and age, talking to our kids, I've spoken to some of my peers, and that includes millennials, parent peers, I guess, put it that way. And I've even heard some of them say, so glad I don't have to worry about that. I just have boys. Um, can we go over the statistics? Can we talk about female predators? That is a huge stigma that still needs to be broken. Yes, you have to talk to your boys. And it's not just about what they shouldn't do with whoever their partner is. It's or watching out for that, for the other people at the party, watching out for their friends. They still need to know what to do about themselves and where their own boundaries should be. Just because it's a lower statistic doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. When you say in America, 1 in 6 men are going to experience some sort of unwanted physical assault, sexual assault in their lifetime, it's not a small number. When you talk about I don't know what it equates to in the millions, but when you actually do the math, it's millions upon millions upon millions of people. So when we say, oh, only 10% of the population will suffer that. Oh, it's only 10, it's a small number. It's only 10%. Let me dig out the math on that for you, and we'll talk. So when I speak about, say, sexual assault and people with either physical or intellectual disabilities, I'm going to take that number, that third figure, and I want to do the math, and I want to show how many millions of people we're talking about that are affected. And maybe that'll make more of an impact for some people. And maybe not the people who are here, the people I'm talking to, but if you're speaking with somebody, that's the whole goal of this. This isn't just about what I'm talking to you about, the education that's occurring right here. It's whoever you may share any of these videos with, or who you're talking to on a Saturday afternoon. And that person ends up talking to their partner or their child and passes that information along. That's the importance of this. And that's where I hope the education goes. I don't want it to stay just between us. Like I say, it's education for all. All righty, guys. I'm just getting down in the chat a little bit. I see a lot of people giving some really great comments in terms of places to go physical defense wise. So I'm happy to see that a lot of you know some of this information. Yeah, Mandy, we talk about some of the older generations, and this is extremely common. Mandy says, my grandma said women and girls get raped all the time, so you just get over it and move on. I remember my grandmother telling me about her incidents and how Yeah, it is what it is. Can't change the past. Just move on. It makes my heart heavy. And to anyone who that's ever been said to, sending you giant hugs. To every survivor out there, sending you giant hugs. And to anyone who's ever been in contact with a survivor, who's ever been a supporter of a survivor, I'm sending you giant hugs. Because to me, there is no greater role that you could play. We as survivors do so much better when we have a support system around us that is understanding, that is empathetic, that knows how to react, that knows how to support. Really critical. This is interesting. Janet says, and she's in Alberta, Canada. 20 years ago, it was standard part of the school curriculum to teach children about body boundaries. And I will say, it is here as well in the United States. So when my son was going through grade school and middle school, they talked about it, but it was really basic. For me, it did not go in depth enough. And it didn't explain the why enough. It didn't explain the motives, the why it's inappropriate, other than, it's your body and nobody should touch it. They didn't explain things like, I had this conversation with my brother the other week, and he didn't remember this, but I remember it clearly. The babysitter was maybe 13, 14, 15, somewhere in there. I think I was around 10, 11. And he was watching over my brother and I and suggested a game of strip poker. Not okay. Not okay. I guarantee you they don't talk about that in school, at least not in our schools. So there's a lot of information that we can partake. I should say that a lot of information that we can give to our young people and explaining different situations that they might come across. And I think that brings it more into their reality than just saying, your body's your body and, you have to consent to the touching. Well, is there certain touching you shouldn't consent to? That needs to be talked about as well. Again, I go back to that 13-year-old girl that I was flattered if somebody, older, 18, 19, 20, if they were to think that I looked older and therefore, were looking at me as a potential partner or somebody they wanted to date, I didn't know that I should have boundaries set up for that. So definitely extremely important that we talk about that as well. Cosmic is over her live, I take it. Hi, Misha. Hi, Dana. How are you guys doing? So glad you're here. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it. I hope you guys are having a really good evening. So for our latecomers, we were talking about Sexual Assault Awareness Month, why it's important, and the things that I would like to speak about this month and the other lives that I have going. Saturday, of course, is Laugh Saturday. Hope everybody can join us for some good old-fashioned fun. Hopefully it will be with mac and cheese. If not, you just get mac. But let me run down the ideas that I have so far for the rest of the month. And I don't really have these in any particular order. I don't have them planned for which day yet. If anybody has information they would like to impart to me, whether it is just a story that they want to tell, whether it is information from their point of view, whether it's something that you want to talk about in terms of joining me on a chat, any of that, I am more than willing to listen to anything you guys have to say on this. So just email me. Hey Cosmic, how you doing? Hey Rick, how are you? I hope you guys are all doing good. I hope you're all having a great evening. So the things that I was going to talk about this month are sexual harassment in school and the workplace. We can also break that down further and just talk about school, teacher, student, whether that's college or whether that's K through kindergarten through 12th grade, senior graduating high school. We could have a whole separate live just on that as well. But self-defense, going over some self-defense moves, soft parts of the body, things that might help you get out of a sticky situation. Sexual assault and people with either intellectual or physical disabilities. Again, one subject that I think really needs to be talked about, something I don't have a lot of experience with. So if anybody has a story, information, knows somebody who would be a good resource for me to speak with, please let me know. And I am happy to try and connect with any of them. Sex trafficking in the US and globally. So again, that could be a multi-part series just in and of itself. And also bystander intervention. How, when, where should we step in and say something? So those are kind of my ideas. There's also sexual assault in the military, which is kind of hanging out there in the corners of my brain as well. So let me know in the comments, which of these really ring as the most important for you? Of these 6 that I've mentioned, are there several that you're like, yeah, definitely do that one, definitely do that one, definitely do that one? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Misha, I will kind of hold sex trafficking until the end. I think the 30th of April is actually a Wednesday, so that could be my last live. But I can expand it out. This is nothing that obviously sexual assault and ... are things that will be continued to be talked about throughout the year. So I will definitely be collecting topic ideas. So even if I don't use them during this month, they will be on my idea list, and I strike those guys off one by one as I talk about them. And if there's things underneath them, Mandy, email me, okay? Email me, contact me at survivingtogether@gmail, and at least we'll get a conversation started between the two of us. Saturday is the clothesline project, Misha. So as long as you have it into me sometime by the end of Saturday, or even the end of the weekend, that'll be fine. I don't know when Crystal Phoenix plans on starting to work on it, but it's giving her a couple weeks to do it. And really, I think at this point, we only have maybe a dozen submissions, so it shouldn't take too long. And again, you can actually do a t-shirt and take a picture of it, or you can do it online and use a graphics program of some sort. I use Canva, and it was super, super easy to do. And just download the file and send me the file. Put clothesline project in the subject line, just makes it easier so I can move it right into the folder with all of the other clothesline projects. If you guys aren't really sure what to do, want to submit, but don't really have any ideas, go to my community tab. I think it's post tab now on my channel. And I did do a post on the clothesline project. And there's tons of different pictures of t-shirts that were done on there. Virtual clothesline. Well, we're a virtual situation here, right? We can't actually have an in-person art installation for people to come up and see. So making something virtual works absolutely fine for us. For our latecomers as well, we do have a very special live tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be starting. It'll be going for 2 hours, and that we will be streaming the Women Changing the World Global Awards ceremony from London. We'll be streaming that live right here on our channel. Jimena's going to be backstage for me. I'm going to be on a Zoom call with some other finalists. I have no idea when in that 2-hour block my category is going to come up, but it will be an exciting morning. So you can pop in, pop out, see if the categories come up, chat with some people if you're in between things. But I will have the live stream going for that full 2 hours, maybe 2.5, depending on how things go. I know Jimena's got some things she has to do, so I'm going to have to take over at a certain point. So you'll get me here, but I'm going to try to stay mainly behind the scenes. The live will be at Crystal. The live will be up just as any other live is, so you can go and watch on replay. The live stream will end when the ceremony ends, but you'll be able to go back and watch the live on the channel just like you would this live. So, and if I am fortunate enough to place, they will name first, second, and third. I will certainly try and clip that out and do a quick little short and post that out in a blast to all of you as well. Hey, Ben, how you doing? Glad to see you here. Hope your evening is going well. Well, that is about all I have for now. So my thing that I need from you guys is, please, if you can, of the subjects that I've mentioned, or if there's any other ones that I haven't mentioned, if you mentioned them in the chat, I missed them. If you could drop them into the comments below. If you're watching on replay, please drop a comment. Any comment will do, but I'd love to know your input on these subjects that I've mentioned for the rest of April. Are there any that really call to you that you really want to hear about? Is there something I missed? Is there a topic involving sexual assault that you wish I would really cover this month? So it'll be between now and April 30th. And so, like I said, I think I've got 5, maybe 6 lives that I will need topics for. With that, I will bid you guys all adieu. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. I will see most of you, or hopefully some of you, one of you, back here 8:30 tomorrow morning. We'll open up the live stream as soon as they are just about to start the ceremony, because it's on at 1:30 London time. So it's going to be 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 a.m. Pacific, and you do the math if you're anywhere in between. I saw SA in sports. I saw SA in law enforcement. Yeah, there's lots of different ones that we can cover. If you guys can drop them in the comments, because I look at those afterwards. Sometimes I don't get back to the chat after I've already ended a live stream, but I get the comments. They give me a notification, and then I can immediately add it to my list. So it's a wonderful way of keeping me on top of things as well. So really hope that you guys hit the like button, please, if you haven't already, before you click out of the stream. That would be appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you hit the all bell so you get notifications of when we're live. So like this special live tomorrow, as long as you have your all bell clicked, you'll get a notification as to when it pops up, even if you didn't know about it. And yeah, please share the video with anybody you think needs to hear this message. And that goes for any of my videos. Share them out. Let's spread the word. And I can't wait to speak to you more about Sexual Assault Awareness Month and the different topics that we're going to be covering. So if you guys didn't notice too, I do have a new banner. David did some work on it, and so I put up his banner. I don't know if you remember what the old one looked like. I might put them side by side for you guys in a post or something, and see which one you guys like best. Maybe I should do a poll. I think Jimena knows how to do polls. So maybe I should get that going, and we'll see if you guys have a preference as to which one you like. Love to get your input on that. Please remember, for me, you guys are worthy. You are valuable, and you are loved just the way you are, for who you are. Surviving together, never alone. Hugs and love from me. Have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.
Through the fire, through the rain, we have walked through endless pain, but we stand, we rise again, stronger now, we break the chain, surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. Every tear, every scar tells the story of who we are. Not just survivors, but warriors too. With love as our armor, we see this through. We see you, we hear you, and we believe in you. Surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. We see you, we hear you, and we believe in you. Survive.